Maybe this has happened to you before. A friend or an acquaintance, even a coworker, invites you to coffee or to lunch. And at first you're just making small talk, talking about the weather, catching up about family or friends or mutual acquaintances. And about halfway through the proceedings, you're halfway through your cup of coffee maybe, or halfway through your sandwich, and the conversation takes a turn, and all of a sudden, the other person who's invited you to this gathering prompts you with a sales pitch. They're, I don't know, trying to get you to invest in their business, or they want you to become a sales representative for their multi-level marketing, or they want you to get a timeshare. Somehow you feel like you've been had, like they brought an agenda to this meeting, and you thought it was just friendly, casual lunch, or just catching up over coffee. And they brought a sales pitch. They brought something they wanted you to do for them, or they see you as just an angle. I hope it doesn't happen very often for you, but my guess is you've either lived through it before or you've seen it happen in other places where you think there's a genuine friendship, you think there's something that's genuine and real, and it turns out the other person has brought a hidden agenda to the gathering. One of the things I find most compelling about Jesus, by contrast, for all the ways the Gospels portray him differently, is that he comes across as someone who doesn't have a secret hidden agenda, but just comes right out and says, here's what I've come for, here's who I am, here's how I bring the reign of God to bear. I think about this scene, we're going to hear this coming Sunday, when Jesus goes to his hometown. This is Jesus' basically first spoken words in the gospel that Luke gives us. Jesus goes to the synagogue in his hometown, and he's there for the gathering, what would be like their weekly worship service. And there, as a new beginning to be known rabbi, he gets up and he reads from the scroll of the prophet Isaiah. And he reads this passage. We don't know if this was what was picked for him or this is what he chooses, but he reads this passage from what we call Isaiah 61 about the Spirit of the Lord being upon him. And he says, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor and to proclaim release to the captive, to let the prisoners go free, recovery of sight to the blind, and to announce the year of God's favor. He sits and rolls up the scroll, and everybody's eyes are staring at him. And Jesus then just says, point blank, today, in your hearing, the scripture is fulfilled. And it's like in this moment, Jesus has sort of laid out, this is what my agenda is. I'm not trying to fool you. I'm not trying to keep it hidden. This is what Jesus has come for: the mending of the world, the release of people who are oppressed, good news for those who have been stepped on, announcing God's jubilee of forgiveness and debt cancellation. This is what Jesus' agenda is. And you don't have to wait halfway through the gospel for Jesus to have started out sounding one way and then to discover he had a sales pitch. There's no secret hidden agenda. There's simply, this is what I've come for. I'm telling you now, this is what I'm about. I gotta be honest, those situations that feel kind of slimy when you're halfway through what seems like a normal conversation, and then all of a sudden somebody brings their secret hidden agenda, their sales pitch, their what they want out of you, or how they're gonna sell something to you. An awful lot of time, folks have had that experience with religious people, with church folks, who start out sounding friendly, and then it turns out they were just salivating at the idea of, I need to recruit you to be another warm body for my church because I want my church to thrive, and I just see you as an object. Or you see people who all of a sudden break into their religion as sales pitch. I need you to sign on the dotted line about Jesus and believe these 5 things so that you won't go to hell. And how easily people are turned away from the good news of Jesus because we found ways of making it sound like a secret hidden agenda. That we get halfway through coffee and all of a sudden now the infomercial starts. And Jesus is just different. Jesus doesn't act that way or speak that way. He just walks into the room and says, I'm telling you right now from the beginning, here's what I'm about in the world. Here's who I am. I've come to bring good news to the people who've been stepped on in life. I've come to bring release to people who are held down and held captive. I've come to bring recovery of sight and healing for people who are hurting. This is what God's agenda is in the world. Even though plenty of other people are going to try and foist onto Jesus other expectations of what they want him to be or what kind of religious product they want him to sell or how he's supposed to be the Messiah, Jesus walks in and just lays his cards on the table from the beginning. This is who I've come to be. The same ancient words the prophet gave, that's what I've come to be. And if you want to be a part of that movement, this is the invitation. This is for you right here and now. It's happening. You can be a part of it. I guess I wonder if that's not a conversation worth having for us as church. How do we communicate to one another, sure, and to the listening world, that we aren't here to sell a product and we aren't here to give a sales pitch cleverly embedded halfway through a friendly lunch or coffee, but that right from the get-go, we only bring the agenda Jesus brings, to bring people to life, to bring relief to people who are held captive, to announce God's good news for all of us, especially those who've been stepped on and forgotten in life. If that's something that you find captivating, if that's something that you find compelling, that's the story we're going to be engaging this coming Sunday. No secret agendas, no ulterior motives. That's where we're headed. And we invite you to be a part of that conversation and to be sent out with that same good news and with that same Jesus agenda this coming Sunday. See you then.